Sitting on many different debts can be intimidating to say the least. Carrying student loans, credit card debt, auto loans, and a mortgage can make determining where to begin your debt payoff strategy confusing. You know that being debt-free is a huge financial accomplishment that will free up your income for many other more exciting things. That extra money could be used to invest or take a much-needed vacation. It could be set aside so you can pay for your next vehicle in cash, or it could just provide some extra breathing room in your budget. A well-thought-out repayment strategy can be a roadmap to becoming debt-free as soon as possible so you're not burdened by those monthly obligations. There are two main debt payoff strategies that are commonly used, but which you choose comes down to personal preference. Let's see the differences so you can make an educated decision that will help you become debt-free years sooner than if you hadn't implemented a proven strategy. My name is Chris, and I help teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you're interested in improving your financial future, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if this video is helpful. Firstly, the debt avalanche is when you pay off your debts in descending order from the highest interest rate to the lowest. This means the balance on each debt is irrelevant. For example, let's say you have a personal loan with a balance of $20,000 and the interest rate is 20%. Here, the minimum payment is $400 per month. You also have a student loan of $10,000 at 6% interest with a minimum payment of $150. Using the debt avalanche, you'd pay off the $20,000 personal loan, throwing as much money as you can at it and only making the minimum payment on the student loan because the interest rate is so much lower. Then, once the personal loan is paid in full, you'd move on to the student loan. Apply what you were previously paying for the debt that is paid off to the next debt. In other words, even though the personal loan is paid off, you're now paying that much extra on the student loan, accelerating the payoff substantially. Instead of continuing to pay $150 per month on the student loan, now you're paying at least the $400 per month you were paying on the personal loan and the $150 for the student loan. The debt snowball is the second debt payoff strategy with a small difference than the avalanche. You may have heard this from Dave Ramsey, who strongly prefers the snowball method because he believes you'll get out of debt much quicker. The debt snowball is when you focus on paying off your smallest debt first. This method doesn't take into consideration the interest rate, as it's more of an emotional strategy. Applying this to the previous example, you would pay off the student loan first because the balance is only $10,000, even though the interest rate is so much lower. Once the debt is completely eliminated, you move on to the larger balance. Some people might wonder why you'd pay off a low interest rate loan when you have others that are charging you much more. Dave Ramsey claims that the biggest advantage to the debt snowball and paying off debt in the order of smallest to largest is that you're likely to stay motivated. The theory is that once you eliminate your small, nagging debts, you'll be excited to move on to the next until they're all gone. You'll be able to see the progress easier than you would with the debt avalanche because the total number of different debts will be reduced quicker, in theory. This method is more emotional than mathematical because you feel like you're actually making a dent in what can seem like a mountain of debt. It's our hunger for instant gratification that makes the snowball method so effective, says Ramsey. The math seems to lean more towards paying the high-interest debts first, he said. But what I have learned is that personal finance is 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. You need some quick wins in order to stay pumped up enough to get out of debt completely. The best part about this method is that it's more likely to keep you motivated, and that's extremely important when it comes to building wealth. Being debt-free and growing investments can take a long time, so having your head in the game is critical. The drawback of the debt snowball is that it's going to cost you more money in interest, and it will end up being more expensive overall. Because you're focusing on balances with no regard for interest rates, chances are that it's going to cost more. Keep in mind that this will largely depend on your personal debts and their exact terms. Putting more emphasis on your emotions than actual numbers tends to be a common theme with Dave Ramsey's advice. Both the debt snowball and debt avalanche are ways to accelerate your debt payoff. You're paying more than the minimum monthly payment, but which method would work best for you? For starters, both methods are remarkably similar. This is because the chances are that the smaller loans like credit cards and personal loans usually have higher interest rates than a mortgage or even a car loan. So, with each strategy, the payoff order might change a little bit, but they're both going to be similar. It's likely that a mortgage or another large loan carries the lowest interest rates. This is not always the case, like if you're stuck with a high interest rate car loan due to bad credit, but it's generally true. To make this more clear, let's look at another real-life example with someone who has 5 different loans. This person has a credit card debt of $4,000 at 30% interest, a $10,000 medical bill at 12%, a $15,000 personal loan at 18% interest, a $30,000 car loan at 6%, and a $350,000 mortgage at 5% interest. Implementing the debt avalanche, they would pay as much as their budget would allow on the credit card while paying minimum payments on the rest. Once the credit card was paid off, they would throw everything they could at the personal loan, then the medical bill, then the car loan, and finally the mortgage. Implementing the debt snowball would be slightly different. Once again, the credit card would be the primary concern. Once the credit card is paid off, they'd move on to the medical bill because it's the second smallest loan balance. Next, the personal loan would be paid down, followed by the car loan and the mortgage. As you can see, in both scenarios, the order in which the loans are repaid is very similar because small loans often carry higher interest rates. If you're the type of person who is emotional when it comes to money, you're going to be better off using the debt snowball. Like Dave Ramsey says, you'll get excited and stay motivated when the number of your debts decreases. Once the credit card is gone, you're going to be thrilled. Then, once the car is paid off, you'll be motivated to pay off the mortgage early. Although the interest you're paying might be a little bit more, who cares if it allows you to continue your debt-free journey? With no motivation, you could find yourself in debt forever, and then you'll really be paying more interest. Besides, the overall interest you'll be paying might not be that much more. For someone only concerned about numbers and who doesn't get emotional when it comes to finance, the debt avalanche would be best. You're going to end up getting out of debt a little quicker, provided you're able to stay motivated. You're keeping your low-interest debt until the high-interest debts are gone. If you get excited seeing progress and are happy seeing the smallest balance loans eliminated, you might want to stick with the debt snowball like Dave Ramsey suggests. Both methods are effective at paying off debt. The most important part is creating a plan that will keep you motivated. Depending on your income and expenses, you might be surprised at how quickly you can achieve your goal. Remember, the progress will accelerate as each debt is repaid, so don't be discouraged if the process seems slow at the start.